All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to move on and we're excited for a panel discussion which is titled Unleashing Innovation in the Era of Disruptive Technologies. We want to dive into the transformative impact of emerging technologies, how they're reshaping industries, driving growth, and unlocking new possibilities. Let's bring on board our panelists who have a wealth of experience. I would like to welcome on stage Mr. Tarun Sharma, Deputy Managing Director of India Exim Bank, with over 2 decades of global experience in competitiveness. He has credit enhancement and trade instruments to enhance the capacity for commercial banks. Can we welcome on stage Mr. Tarun Sharma? We've also got with us Dr. Pratap Nair, who is the President and CEO at Ingreo, and he has played a key role in technically and commercially developing the innovative concept of remote process engineering, today operating with offices in USA, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and India. We have Vijaya Kumari Ivaturi, the co-founder at Crayon Data, which is a big data and AML product company in Singapore with a development center in Chennai, been with ICT industry for over 35 years. Can we have on stage Professor Rajesh Zele, Electrical Engineering at IIT Bombay, and he has also got a PhD degree from the Carnegie Mellon University, USA. His research interests include RF, analog, mixed signal, and he also joined the Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Bombay. And now to moderate this discussion, we have Natarajan Sankaran, ex-Intel and startup mentor and NIT Nagpur alumni who has spent most of his 25 years career building tech products in computer, networking, and communication. So let's talk about unleashing innovation in the era of disruptive technologies. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for all those good introductions. I'm very happy and privileged to be here. It's an honor. Thank you, the SINE team, for the opportunity. The topic which we have is unleashing innovation in the era of disruptive technologies. Disruptive technologies, I think nobody else other than this audience would understand it better because we are sitting in one of the premium technology institute in the country, and many of you are probably directly or indirectly involved in disrupting it further, faster, fiercer, deeper, all kind of adjectives, right? So if you look at our country, I think there are a lot of things which are going on for us. The very first thing for becoming an innovation nation, I think I see this, big theme. Probably it is the big, hairy, audacious goal for SINE 2.0. To become an innovation nation, you need startups. I think they have made significant progress. We are the third largest startup ecosystem in the country, right? And how do startups come? There are basically few sources, right? One is people who are coming with a lot of tech background. I think if you look at our country, there are more than 1,500 global capability centers. I think probably one of the earliest centers is Wipro, and I think IVK comes from there. A lot of innovators have come from Wipro, right, those days. So that is one pool of startups or innovation, right? I think we have a very, very large pool, representing that aspect. The second is very good education institutes like IIT Bombay. We have so many STEM-focused institutes, right? Both primary, secondary, and higher education. So that's the other advantage we have. But with all these advantages, can we really become an innovation nation? Can this unleashing of innovation in this era of disruptive technologies can happen? And what can we do about that, right? That's what we are trying to kind of focus in this panel discussion. And I have all these esteemed panel members representing different aspects of or different parts of our ecosystem. So let me start the discussion point. I'll go to Tarun. So thank you, Mr. Sharma. So, Mr. Sharma, actually, you are coming from Exim Bank. And when I looked at Exim Bank, I saw that you're probably doing many things to the ecosystem. One of the programs which caught my attention was this Ubarte Sitare program, a very nice name. So, startups ko bhi Ubarte Sitare samajhte hain? Yeah, it is like, something different. So it will be very great to, listen to you on how did this program start. I think you were closely involved. Did you choose the name? And how did it, kind of pan out? And what else you are doing with startups especially those with, kind of disruptive technologies?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Natarajan. So, well, the journey has been fantastic. When we were set up over 40 years ago, we were set up in a very different environment. We were closed door economy. We were set up modeled on advanced economy export credit agencies or exim banks. So you had one in the US, you had in the UK, Canada, and several other countries. Uh, Other countries started following. So you had subsequently ECAs come up in China, Malaysia, Thailand, etc. Korea as well, Japan. And now, what we realized pretty soon is that India did not have enough exports to finance. And what were we going to do? So we said, let's look at trying to create capability. And we started building that capability. We started supporting companies like Infosys, which were very, very nascent, very small companies. And that worked marvelously. So we had folks like Dabur come up, Biocon. We supported them through very small grants in those days. And then as India's economy progressed, we sort of somewhere it went on the back burner. We forgot about that whole capacity building exercise that we were doing. Now, comes the time of COVID, and we were thinking, what should we do differently? And one thing we noticed was how industry collaborates so closely with academia and the advanced economies. And we said, why aren't we doing it? So during that lockdown, and we heard in the previous panel, March 25th, and we said, let's start writing to the leading academia. We wrote to IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, the IIMs in Ahmedabad, Calcutta, Bangalore. To my surprise, in about 2 weeks, we started receiving responses from everybody saying, oh, this is a fabulous idea. What was the idea? The idea was, if there is a differentiated technology, product, or process, how can I come in and support it through a structured mix of debt, equity, or technical assistance? Provide a solution to them. So IdeaForge is a company that we've come in and supported. Atomberg, you've seen a stall outside. So several of the IIT Bombay incubated companies have been supported by us. Through the journey, we've supported now upwards of 70 companies across different sectors in areas of agriculture, pharmaceuticals. You've seen defense applications, civil applications, the auto or EV space. So it's across a diverse set of sectors. We've got a pipeline, and Sailesh Prasad, who heads our group, the incubation group, the innovation group, is here with me. It has moved so rapidly that we've built in now a pipeline of about 100 companies which are looking to move ahead. So we don't call them startups, we call them early stage companies because we see their evolution growing. I wanted to add one more point here is, when you look at disruptive technologies, you mentioned about disruption. So we said, of disruptions happening. You've got digital public infrastructure, UPI going. So we said, how do we use it to our advantage? So we've now developed a program where we are participating or partnering with banks across the globe to look at supporting incremental exports from India. We started the program about a little over a year ago. We've done over 650 transactions, supported over 2.5 billion of incremental exports, supported 125 companies, about 55 of them are MSMEs. So the idea is how to use technology to try and meet your own mandate. My mandate is look at trade and investment. So I will always try and use technology in some way or the other.
That's great. Yeah, I think very great to hear that all the good work you've been doing. I recently attended an event called Aadhar Samvad in Bangalore. It happened a few days back. I think you were mentioning about some of these things like UPI and all that. I think one of the word which caught my attention was they talked about scale. And there is this word called population scale, right? And I mean, we have like a huge population, and if any disruptive technology has to lead India into becoming an innovation nation, the impact has to be at that scale, right? I think the way Aadhaar or the UPI has adopted at population scale shows that. I think that is very, very important. Thank you, Tar. I will need to IVK. Can I call IVK? Yeah, Mike. Yeah. So again, Avike, I think you have lived both corporate world at Wipro, and as well as a startup for last 12 years plus, right? I think every startup's dream is to actually scale, right? And the scaling is a very, very tough challenge, product market fit and challenge. And one of the thing everybody's dream or aspiration is to include overseas business right, as part of their scaling plan and execute it and then really become successful at it. So I saw that Crayon Data has done it very successfully. You have probably many, kind of projects in many countries, including Africa, Middle East, Southeast Asia, and all that. Uh, so of course, you have your focused verticals, you have your model, whether it is B2C or, B2B, right? So can you please share how a startup can do the right things to build here and then, kind of take it to market globally? What steps, they can take and what they should not do also?
Yeah, I'll give you a short answer first on the first question. Um, since we are a startup, we're actually, I would say, middle-aged startup. That we didn't come from campus. Each of us had more than 25 years when we started experience, each of us. So we are a middle-aged startup. And when you come from a corporate, from more than 2 decades experience, you normally come with an assumption that you do know the domain. So in the team, we do have the completeness of the domain. We work with banks primarily, and my co-founder was a banker. And I was in tech and else the marketing. So we basically have what called functional companies. So one of the things we find or we found is that we overestimated the maturity of the customer systems and underestimated the time it takes. In spite of running those ops or businesses before. I would say maybe that is one of the most humbling experiences anybody will have if you move from corporate to startup. And I was dealing with startups even when I was in pro from 1998, right? So even with all that, we thought if we bring a solution, which was on a new tech, which is anyway not contested, everybody is using it. And normally the fintech or the BFSI companies adopt technology first. More intangibles you sell, the more tangible assets you can invest in some way. So you normally invest using tech. So we thought, okay, if you sell overseas, which is supposed to be more mature, our solution directly fit. But when you actually hit the ground, our learning has been that, well, they're not as advanced as you think they are. And I'm talking about the Fortune 100. So I'm not talking about some regional big ones, okay? So I think that has been one of the, I would say, humbling experience. Okay, we got that wrong. I thought maybe it's not all that advanced. The second one I would say is, see, for a corporate mindset, the more mess you have on your customer side, the better it is for me. Because my scope increases, right? So if your data warehouse is not in order, I love it because I can actually start doing that work as well. But in a startup, I have a problem because I don't have time and I don't have money. So I have to pick my point of entry and point of exit. So if I got that reading wrong, I go to a bank and they tell me that, sorry, I think we should fix our data lake. But I am not set up for fixing your data lake. If you have a data lake, I know what to do. But normally you have to do that because you will not be able to work with that. They cannot give you the data report, and I have to help them do it. So I think even in overseas, I think that has been our learning that it's not very different from what you would have found in India. There is a little bit, we'll come to the difference, but in general, the state is not dramatically different. Okay? Whereas we thought, oh, we are in a developed market, why can't we? The thing which did not, I would say, there's significant difference on scale. They have more depth in the market. So I have served 50,000 users or 1 lakh credit card users has got no meaning if I can't fix the semantic mining of the 5,000 they want. So the scale horizontally may not depth much. So I think that has been our learning that when you go to developed markets, you need to have more of depth there and not the width, because the width anyway is covered by many other people. That gives the third one point I want to make. One of the significant differences, I say, if you are in especially the tech products, the federated data and federated development models quite common in those. We don't find them so much in India. I would say maybe I have to pick, I would say fintech is one example, and maybe emerging space like where you have more federated models. Otherwise, you normally one SI will own the deal and the rest will work with it. So when you work in a federated model in many of these things, it gives you a little bit of complexity, both in terms of data collaboration and the. So that has been our learning, that we have to learn how to work in federated. The last one I would like to say is the learning has been the other side, the commercial side. We are used to common law. So but if the applicable law is something else, those clauses make a big difference, including data residency. So if you're a data-driven startup, you need to please read these clauses extremely carefully, because the law at the country level may not apply to a certain city. So you have to read the legal provision related to data. So I would say those are, can make it work, but you saw the demand.
Thank you. Thank you for all those very good insights. I think it should be very helpful for some of these startups, which are trying to do that. But I was fascinated when you said that you had the right combination, tech, marketing, and, other aspects with your co-founders, but it's still, it was like so difficult, right? I think
you make some assumptions. You find those assumptions may not be right all that. There will be a few which will work,
okay,
but not necessarily.
Sure.
We have to learn.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Thank you. I'll move to Dr. Nair. So, Dr. Nair, I think you are from this institute. I think you are probably associated all these probably three plus decades, right? So with the institute, and when I saw, I think when we were talking also, you talked about the work that you did early 2000, things like analytics, and then somewhere 2015, 16, actually putting applied AI into some of the projects which you did. That was like really fascinating. We have seen that some of the initiatives, for example, the incentivization of Make in India, right? You do something, you get production linked incentives, right? One other thing which is going to hit us later, I think probably China went through this later. Manufacturing is good, but then how do I automate? How do I bring efficiency, right? Technologies are going to be very, very important, right? I think some of these things like robotics, AI, all those things are going to be mattering a lot. Now, in your experience and view of chemical as well as some of the other industries, right? Do you see the adoption of these technologies are going in a very good way? And if not, would incentivization, just like the basic thing, like, okay, you manufacture, I'll give you some incentive, to adopting technologies, incentivization for that, would it be something possible, viable, and what are your views on that? It'll be great to hear them.
Yeah, it's a good question, Natarajan. We of course, we've been working past 20 plus years, mainly with the process manufacturing industry. And we have been delivering technology solutions. So one of the things we've seen with manufacturers, certainly, I mean, they implement technologies, they are going to get the benefits. Unlike some of the whole sustainable area, where still, there is a cost where some government help may be required. Here, I don't see any monetary benefits that really need to be given. But at the same time, it's also dangerous sometimes to give the monetary benefits or even incentivize too much, because it's not just technology. When you go to manufacturing, there are so many dazzling technologies that are available, whether it's AI or co-enabling technologies. I can talk of that because that's the area we're in. But there have been a lot of cases we've seen, all sizes of companies, where they go in, they're dazzled by the technology, they get the technology, they spend a fair amount of money, and then they find that it's not doing any good. So it's really thinking through what are you trying to solve? Can I do something better? And marrying that with the technologies that are available. So it's not the latest and the greatest that's necessarily what will solve and improve what you're doing, but it's really the right mix. That's one point. And so my fear with just purely incentivizing, just if you incorporate technology, is that money may be spent for the wrong things. The other area is yes, there are a lot of technologies, and it's really a mix of these technologies. So how can be synthesized for solving a given problem or for improving, the way you're working? So that is very important. So it's just like at the end of the day, you need to think through what it has to be used to the manufacturer. So it's just like you don't give an engine for a car. You need the entire car for it to be useful. So it's the same thing here. Now, one possible way it could be you could incentivize, given that there's, we try to attract a lot of manufacturing here, is set some benchmarks. That certainly could help, because the only way you can achieve those benchmarks is by incorporating, certain level of technology, and those benchmarks could keep changing. And so we want to increase, our manufacturing abilities with, the required efficiencies. That could be a possible way of. I mean, it's not traditional incentivization, with monetary benefits, but it's so that could be, one. So those would be my thoughts based on
Absolutely. I think that is very, very valid. So the reason for somebody adopting technology should be their business, how to bring those efficiency, and probably if there are some standard benchmarks set, how do we achieve that? I think that would be very, very wise thing to do. Thank you, sir. I'll move to Professor Zale. I think, Professor Zale, you are from here, so I know that you have been working here for last many years. I think 8 years. Yeah, right. And before that, you have been with the semiconductor industry, right? I think spent a lot of time in designing and taping out chips, right? And especially in the complex area of mixed signal, RF, and all that, which is highly, highly skill focused and experience focused. So we have seen that this becoming, again, the innovation nation. The country has taken a step towards attracting silicon design, chip design, manufacturing. All those efforts are going on nicely, and many companies have announced. Some people have even set up, right? So there's a lot of buzzing activities in the semiconductor field, right? So in your view, what else we need to do, in terms of achieving this innovation nation, and how the entire silicon initiatives, can actually push forward? And there are a lot of, things changing, AI coming in, people calling out. I think today morning I read the news that there was a SoftBank, announcement saying that they are going to lead the entire chip skill set in the country, for AI, right? I think there are a lot of buzz. So what are your views, and what do you think we should be doing?
You can hear me? So let me give you a little bit of flashback, and then I'll come.
Sure, yeah, please.
I like to do that with my students all the time, especially just before the lunch. So my first morning when I started, can you hear me?
Yeah, keep it closer, it's okay.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay. Is don't look at your phones, right? That's the way I start. And then if I catch you, then I'll ask you a question. So I'm a product of IIT Bombay. Unfortunately, when I was here, there wasn't anything like SINE at that time. After my experience, education in this field, when I did my startups, it was like, wild, wild west. It was, you had to really struggle to get money, funding, and then, and after spending about 2 decades outside in big companies, small companies, startups in India, startups in US, I'm back at IIT Bombay as a professor. So I kind of know both sides of the world, and from that I'll come to this particular point. And the perceptions in both worlds, how they are. So academicians think that industry people are boring. They don't really, I mean, they're too slow. And then since I was in the industry, the perception of academicians is, they are just, they don't know what they're doing. They're just, whatever they are doing will not work in the real world. That's kind of the common thing that you see. And being on both sides, I pretty much appreciate the both sides very much. And we need to coexist. And what I wanted to bring out was what is really innovation? The definition of innovation changes quite a lot when you go from academia to industry. And there is a small transformation to show you so that we can focus on that and we can put a light on semiconductor crisis that we are going through. In academia, innovation is, everything's like a seed, okay? And then you sow seeds in ground, and then that ground pretty much is like science. So you're sowing an idea seed in the ground, and hopefully you get some money, seed money, which is what we call it. That's like water, put water. Sometimes they sprout, sometimes they don't. Natural process, right? And then you need some sunlight. The sunlight is the mentorship, all the good people you're dealing with, the sunlight you're getting. Sometimes you don't get sunlight, but you still have to grow. And then sometimes you grow like a weed, huh? And sometimes you get chopped off. And sometimes you get transplanted to another tree, right? So all these things you can pretty much imagine, which are happening from academia to an industry. Industry which is well established is like a well-grown tree. Now, why that tree is it is very successful because it has really deep roots. It knows where to get water, the money, needs for survival, and it has so many leaves which are like our employees, right? Now, in this context, when we look at innovation, there is a very broad range of definition of innovation for every step of the way. What I look at innovation in academia is a small idea. Let's see if it works. Okay, and can you see some simulation results? Can I make some chip and make it work? Look at the results and publish a paper. So that's probably what an academician's idea of innovation. I'm simplifying it and intentionally I'm amplifying the difference. And when you go to the industry, that idea changes completely. The idea is, whatever that new idea is, will it survive? Will it survive under all possible conditions? And then the innovation has to thrive on its own. And then it should not break down. Because, if you have an innovation in a plane, you know how important it is. There are lives at stake. So that definition of innovation changes quite a lot. Coming back to the key point, the inflection point India is going through right now, which I'm very passionate about because I'm from this field. It's chips, the integrated circuits technology that we are trying to get into in the semiconductor space. So a couple of comments I have on that is, we are really excited. India is very excited. There is a right atmosphere. Even the Panwala near my house knows about semiconductors. There is a lot of awareness. And, earlier, if you had said you're working in a startup, you are not marriage material. But today, if the boy who's graduating from IIT, he or she is doing startup, then that's like a great thing. And that perception has changed because of, incubation centers like SINE. And we are getting this very positive vibe in India right now about, chip design industry. The thing that I would like to leave you with, wrapping it up, is this space is very, very hard. We are underestimating the efforts which are going to be required to do this chip industry in India. We can do it. We can do Samruddhi Expressway. We have done all these airports, which are like fantastic, even better than any other country. And I think we can do an excellent chip design plant in India. But we should not underestimate that. It requires a lot of water. It requires a lot of sunlight, and requires consistent effort in that direction. It's not something that just because of likes we are going to create IC industry. So we are going in the right direction. We are underestimating, though, what I feel. But the ecosystem, the effort is not on a chip design plant, but the ecosystem around it. And I think incubation centers like SINE, I'm also part of SINE in some ways or the other. What I feel is we are doing the right thing in terms of providing a lot of sunlight to the budding saplings, which are going to really grow, hopefully, like big trees. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I think that's very important. Yeah. So I think the life cycle of a chip. I mean, I also worked in a chip company, so I'm aware of such a long life cycle, right? I think building a fintech application and compare that with a chip design is such a long cycle. You have to have a lot of sunlight, right? So So, Shari, we have time for one more question, or we can open it up with the audience. Some question. Audience, okay. Anybody has any questions to this panel? Okay. Okay, that is what you have to do. You are the professor in the panel. Okay, I think if there are no questions, we will wrap it up. I think we also have needing to catch another flight, just like Mr. Desai. So thank you for your patience, and we are the people in between lunch and you, so we will give you a little bit of time.
Food for thought.
Yeah, some food for thought.
Food for thought indeed. Thank you so very much for talking about those, this thought-provoking discussion on unleashing innovation in an era of disruptive technologies. Lots to reflect upon as we enjoy our food. But let's welcome Ms. Rashmi Mahajani to please present a small token of appreciation to all our panel members. And thank you so very much for running us through those insights and talking so much about what is going to happen in an era of disruptive technology. Thank you so very much for those thought-provoking insights. And ladies and gentlemen, we will now be breaking for lunch. So please feel free to network and relax. And of course, I encourage you all to please visit the stalls